fancy seeing you here. Russ from the West Ham Network. Hope everyone is well. Happy Thursday. West Ham can't win this weekend. Don't play till Monday. Obviously, Monday, we've got the Brentford game, the boycott game. Anton will have, we've got Bubbles on the channel for Hammers United. He's going to be live with Anton tomorrow, 6 p.m. I think it is. So make sure you check that out. And just reiterating, because again, some people messaged us the other day again, we will be covering the game from a watch-along perspective and doing all the other stuff, starting 11 the show, the match day, lunchtime, all that type of stuff. But we're not profiting from that. Any ad revenue that we generate, any super chats or things like that from the shows on Monday goes directly to the Iron Supporting Food Banks. Because with people boycotting the game, there's a massive hole in their fundraising for that Monday, and people who need our help won't be getting it because of the lack of money being raised, because there'll be no people there. So hopefully our little contribution will help towards that offset, and anything you donate in those live streams on the Monday will go towards the Iron Supporting Food Banks. Just wanted to make that point clear. So we are not profiting from doing the live streams, where you might have a number of people, watching it more, tuning in because they're not at the game. We're not profiting from that. Anyway, speaking of Monday, Nuno's first home game at the London Stadium. And it coincides with also Nuno's first opportunity to pick Thomas Soucek. We know Nuno's had a decent-ish first 2 games, probably seen more in those first 2 games than we saw for pretty much all of Potter's 20-odd games prior, in terms of just a way of playing and an intensity we haven't seen really. We didn't see under Potter, and to be honest, we didn't see it much under Lopetegui anyway as well. But this is the first time that Nuno can draw on the talents of Thomas Soucek, potato salad himself. Obviously, he was serving a 3-match ban after that red card against Spurs. Was it Spurs? And Nuno hasn't had a chance to work with him on the pitch. Now, since Soucek's been unavailable, there's already been one sort of midfield story, sort of, not necessarily brewing, but has concluded, and that is James Ward-Prowse. It's pretty evident that he doesn't feature in Nuno's plans, despite Nuno, I think, being quite nice to him when asked about him in interviews, saying things like, he picks the team based on the opposition, yada, yada, yada. Everyone's given a free chance. Everyone starts again from afresh. The writing's on the wall, and the fact that he hasn't played him, and the fact that, he wasn't even at the Everton game for his first game, pretty much shows that he is off ski in January if a side come in for him. At the moment, looks like it could be Southampton on loan with maybe an obligation to buy if they get promoted. But what about Thomas Soucek? That's the next conundrum, midfield conundrum problem to discuss. We know that obviously he was a Moyes man, brought in by David Moyes. He wanted someone who could run, so they got Thomas Soucek. And there were whispers of a potential reunion with Moyes in the summer. That didn't transpire. Potter said didn't want to sell him. And also Soucek himself made it quite clear that he wanted to stay and fight for his place and help turn things around at West Ham with what was a disastrous season last year. But obviously, since the last time he pulled on a claret and blue shirt, in the last 3 games on, there's been quite a change. Obviously, there's a new person in charge in terms of the dugout, and the system implied now he's built on a very solid defence with fast transitions and utilising energy from younger players in midfield, particularly like obviously Fernandes and Magassa. He wants to play a high intensity approach, which doesn't fit naturally with how Soucek likes to play. However, I'm not going to just discount him, disown him just yet. I think Soucek brings something that's desperately needed in this side, and definitely in the last few games: height, strength, defensive awareness at set pieces. Obviously, we've been very shaky from corners, and it's fair to say Soucek is a complete weapon at both ends. Both boxes, not both ends. It says at both ends of the pitch. I mean, but let's not forget how many goals he scored. With his head, particularly. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's in the top. He's definitely in the top 10 of all Premier League goal scorers at West Ham of all time. I've got a feeling he's in the something like top 50 as well of goal scorers of all time at West Ham. And you got to think with someone like Nicholas Füllkrug sidelined yet again. We don't have that sort of physicality that's taken out of the side, and we haven't got any serious aerial threat. We know at Forest, Nuno was known for coaching very strong team unity. The bond between the players and the coaches. He talks about the bond between the fans and the coaching and players already. Everyone seems to have their role, and even those who aren't starting every week. Now, for me, Soucek has always been the ultimate team player. He works hard. He's well respected in the dressing room. He never complains. You don't see him doing interviews slagging off the manager. In fact, I remember when I think it was COVID, him and Coufal had to be locked out of Rush Green because they wanted to train every day to keep match fit. Now, I'm not saying that Thomas is a starter anymore, a regular starter, not at all. But he could still play a vital role, I think, and a vital key role in this season for us. Maybe as that super sub, or that bringing on that midfielder to close out tight games. Him and 𝗪𝗟𝗟 and Fernandez, they're doing Fernandez and 𝗪𝗟𝗟 particularly doing the running. Thomas could slot in there in a deeper role if need be with real effect, and maybe even slot into the back three really, because actually in the Ipswich closed season, Nuno played behind closed doors game against Ipswich and played a back three. We know Nuno's not one of those guys, if you're not performing, you're out. That's what he is. And I like that. And I think someone like Soucek will be a useful ally for Nuno. Particularly, you got to think Soucek's best football under West Ham was playing under David Moyes. And you've got, and Nuno does play a similar way in terms of the formation and just in general, is more of a pragmatic style. Obviously, Soucek's been away on international duty, so he's fit, he's ready to go. Didn't have the greatest international break. Neither did Mavropanos, neither did Paqueta. All got vilified by their nation's media for performances. So that makes so I'm interested to see what role Nuno puts on Soucek going into the Brentford game, and then the subsequent games. He obviously got Leeds on the Friday as well. What role does he play? He's back in the squad, out of a shadow of a doubt. Will he start? I don't think so. I think Nuno is moving into a newer direction. But what role does he play in the squad? And that's what I'd like you guys to know and to tell me, in the comments below, what role does Soucek play? Before you say anything funny, looking at you, Peter Jones, looking at you, Mercedes, you don't like me either. Yeah, don't say a salad or a potato salad roll or the tea lady. In terms of the role on the pitch, what role? Don't say the groundsman. From a footballing perspective, you might not even want him on the pitch anymore now. But I think if we're in this relegation dogfight already, it's a 6 points for a Monday, 7 games into the season already. I'd rather have Soucek in my team. I'd rather him in the tent pissing out than outside pissing in. He's a warrior. And I think we need some of them. We need some of that. We need some of that experience, some of that leadership as well. The 𝗪𝗪𝗟 captain for many years. So I think Nuno will relish the thought of having someone like Soucek in his ranks. Maybe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share. Give it a hype. Back Hammers headlines a bit later on. And then tomorrow we should have the Nuno press conference, I believe. Yeah, I think so. I think it's tomorrow. And until next time, my friends, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. And come on, you bloody irons.